Guys, and welcome to the Watford vs Sunderland match preview. So Sunderland will be going to Vicarage Road tomorrow, 3 o'clock kickoff, and it's going to be an absolutely massive game, and it isn't going to be easy. Not only because Watford are a really, really solid side, and a side that I expect to pretty much win the league this year. We don't have a striker, pretty much, but I will get into the sort of news around Ellis Simms. Of course, he did pick up a knock. He picked up an injury to his toe against Reading the other night, away from home, of course. Thank you to all you that joined the live stream. We had such a laugh, of course, a massive whopping 3-0 win. And in that game, of course, you know, when Ellis Simms was on the pitch, we played well in terms of we controlled possession. I think we had 75% possession when he was on the pitch, but we were creating absolutely nothing because the likes of Pritch and Roberts, they weren't getting behind the lines, they weren't running the channels as much. It was kind of going to Simms, he'd hold it up and then we'd just bring it back and we'd just control the play without creating anything. Maybe the odd cross gone into the box, and that was really it. We looked comfortable, Reading looked toothless, but so were we. You know, Reading couldn't keep hold of the ball, we kept nicking it back off him, they were giving it away. But with Simms on the pitch, we didn't look threatening at all. We controlled the game. He contributed, don't get me wrong, to controlling the game, but didn't look threatening at all. Then Simms comes off the pitch, and we absolutely run them ragged because the likes of Roberts, the likes of Pritch, the likes of Daniel Embo, who replaced him, they were forced to press the lines and forced to go in beyond where Ellis Simms would have been because he's no longer on the pitch. So I'd almost be tempted to go with the same 11 if we didn't have Ellis Simms anyway, which I will get into with the news on him. But I'd always be tempted to go with a team full of midfielders. You know, we had 8 midfielders playing against Reading. You know, a team that had a 100% home record. We've gone there. We lose our only striker in the squad that we have left. We play with almost an entire team of midfielders, and we wiped them clean 3-0, and we absolutely deserved it, and we battered him. And some amazing goals as well, because we had so many footballers on the pitch. And by footballers, I mean, you know, technicians, midfield players who, you know, it's not just full defenders or specialists. They're all technical-minded players, a lot of them. So it just shown on the pitch as well that we might not even need a striker because we looked so much better without Simms on the pitch, which it did get him as such. But like I say, the midfielders were forced to play in such a way that Reading just couldn't handle us at all. But anyway, going on to Watford, of course, as I say, I expect them to be there or thereabouts. They're currently mid-table, a little bit inconsistent with their form. They had a great start to the season. I think they beat Sheffield United by a 1-0. They got a draw against West Brom, who you expect to be up there. They then went to beat Burnley, who you absolutely expect to be up there. So it was a great start to the season. They started to linger a little bit, not doing so good. They've only got 1 win in the last 6. So it was a great start. They come out flying out the gates, and they've kind of slowed down a little bit. In the last game against Blackburn, they did get beat by 2-0. So hopefully we are going to be meeting them at the correct time. But in terms of news on Ellis Simms, Mowbray did say literally just a few moments ago as I'm recording this, he has said that the scan on his toe was a little bit inconclusive. It is his big toe. It's really player management on that. It's about how he feels when he's out on the grass. They're going to try and get him out on the training pitch today, see if he can do, you know, like a light jog and then a bit of a run and then a full sprint and see how it is. So he said if worse comes to worse and he can't make it tomorrow, we've got to, we've got a break for a couple of weeks, so it would give him even more time to recover. But we just have to find a way to play without a striker, essentially. So that is the update on Ellis Simms. There is a big chance that we are going to be strikerless tomorrow against Watford at Vicarage Road. So it's going to be a difficult one. We know that, but they also have a little bit of injury concerns. I think it's Ismail Sarr, who I think is an absolutely phenomenal player, very, very exciting player, can play as a striker on the wings as well. And I think it's Ngakia as well, who is potentially not going to be playing for them, another key player, another striker. So they could potentially be low on strikers as well. So we're looking for an interesting game here. But what we're going to do, as usual, we're going to have a look at my preferred starting 11, and this is on the assumption that Ellis Simms will be playing. So here is the team. We have Patterson in goal. We have Alessi, who, by the way, was my man of the match the other night. I know that everyone's going to give it to Roberts because the couple of goals he scored, some brilliant goals as well. But Alessi, for me, you know, I think everyone started to shine at certain parts in the game, because I think before Ellis Simms come off, I don't think Roberts was particularly great, or many other players, apart from the back line, in particular Alessi. Alessi was so so good. You could argue, oh, but Reading were poor, that's why he might have made them look good, but he was winning everything in the air. Whenever he was stood up one-on-one with someone, with their winger, he was throwing himself in challenges, and every time, he was never beat. Not once was he beat. You know, it was ushering players out or ushering the ball out and protecting the ball out for it to go out for goal kicks or throw-ins and just winning challenges. He didn't get beat once, so for me, unless he absolutely starts, I was a bit shaky at first, I was a bit worried at first, concerned when he was in the 11, but because of it, well, that was because of his display against Sheff Wednesday in the Cup, where I thought he was utterly horrendous, but he was a completely different player, chalk and cheese in performances. But, you know, against Watford, a better side, it could be really, really tested. Well, at least I expect him to be. I expect him to be more tested against Reading, but he made it look easy, did less. But there we go. We have Alessi, Bart and 09 across the back, Clark, Evans, Neal and Gooch. Then Roberts and Pritchard behind Ellis Sims. Now, that is the system that we did sort of start with against Reading, and we did control possession. And I do think that if you have a striker available, you generally use your striker, don't you? But if we don't, I would probably stick Embleton in there just because that is the team that won us the game. Embleton had come on straight away, got us a couple of assists, and he was absolutely outstanding. So maybe you could do what we did the other night. You know, we stuck Pritchard almost as a centre-forward role, and we had Evans work sort of alongside Roberts. So Embleton dropped deep a little bit, and he was getting himself forward and contributing to attacks. And everyone was throwing themselves forward because they realised, right, we don't have a striker, we're going to have to do this ourselves. And my God, did they. So that is the lineup I would generally go with. Although, you know, you have Benetti, or Bennett, however you want to pronounce it. He looked absolutely class coming on. He was so raw and just direct on the left-hand side, taking on his man, nearly got himself a goal. Diallo, he looks really, really sharp. It'd be nice to see some of the other lads come on, but Diallo could get in there, because I really am a fan of Diallo, but I'm just not too sure where. When you win 3-0 against Reading away from home, there's not really too much room for experimentation, do you know what I mean? But this is probably the lineup I would go with, although I'll be very, very tempted to drop Sims and stick Embleton in there, or even Diallo, just to really get at them and become midfielder FC. But now for my score predictions. I did predict a draw against Reading, and before the game I would have taken that had I not seen how Reading were going to play, because they were abysmal. It was strange, that one, because considering how good their form has been at home, you know, they literally sat back. They didn't press us once in that game. From the second we kicked off, they sat back. They were barely crossing the halfway line, and when they did, it was just sort of half-hearted and half-arsed. It was like, it wasn't even like they were playing on the counter-attack though either, because when they did get the ball, they'd hoof it forward and we'd win it back, or they'd give it away really cheapishly. You know, it was a very strange performance from Reading, so I don't really want to look too much into it. But Watford, for me, despite, you know, the possible injuries they might have, I do think Watford could be a stretch too far, because I just think they have such class about them. Yes, we're meeting them at a decent time, and I would absolutely take a draw. I'd love to take a draw. Of course, a win would be even better, and we're in good form ourselves, you know, or else we're looking dangerous despite our injuries. I think Watford could be a step too far away from home, and I am going to predict a 2-0 Watford win, unfortunately. Again, I'll take a draw. Of course, I'll take a win, but I am going to go for a 2-0 Watford win, unfortunately. But that is my preview for the game. What do you guys think? Who would you go with? Would you go strikerless, even if Ellis Sims is fit? Consider how well they play against Reading. What would you do? Let me know in the comments down below, and your score predictions as well. But if you've enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. But for now, take care and stay jammy.